Welcome guys, today I'll be showing you how to install Windows 10 inside of VMware Workstation 12. Okay, first off, if you haven't got BitTorrent, we'll be using that to download VMware. So I'll quickly show you how to get BitTorrent. So on a Google browser, type BitTorrent download. Okay, find the link. Go to the link. You want to click the BitTorrent stable build. Okay, select the download location. I like to store all my program downloads in one folder if they're a program setup. It's a good practice. So once that's downloaded, we'll go and get a VMware Workstation Pro 12 BitTorrent file. Okay, so go to Google, type VMware. Actually, I'll have the download in the description for VMware Workstation Torrent and probably BitTorrent URL location for the download as well. Okay, so as well as Windows 10 Pro download torrent. So now we've got VMware. We want to click the download torrent. Find the location. Okay, so now we've got BitTorrent set up and we've got VMware torrenting file. Okay, so double click BitTorrent. Now that'll set up BitTorrent on your machine. Doesn't matter if it's 32-bit or 64-bit, BitTorrent will I think it's a 32-bit application, so it'll run on either. So skip the garbage, make sure you click decline there on that box. You might have a different offer or voucher or whatever, but click decline. So that'll set up BitTorrent now. Okay, BitTorrent is a torrenting client where you seed torrents files from throughout the world that people share. Okay, so now once that's installed, we want to click the VMware torrenting file and select a location to download VMware. As I said before, I'll select mine into a program setup folder where all my download program setups go. So that's probably something you should do. Okay, so create a folder called VMware, and inside that's where I'll be downloading this through torrent. Okay, so that's started. It's downloading VMware Workstation Pro 12.5. Okay, so I'll quickly skip through this download. Okay, it's going to take a little minute, thanks to the government's restriction on NBN download speeds, which has reduced it to 1 megabyte. Okay, so VMware now will start that up now that it's installed. If you don't know how to install it, leave a comment and I'll do a tutorial on that. If not, which is pretty simple to set up, just double click the executable, let it find its application location and go. Okay, so now we're creating a new VMware Workstation and we'll be selecting Windows 10, which is in the download description, as a torrent file. Okay, so select its location. Okay, so program files. Okay, now create a folder that you're going to create Windows 10 in. Okay, so I've got Win 10, Windows 10. Okay, now select next. Okay, now we want to store it as one virtual file. So click that, leave it on 60 gigabytes. I think that's the allocated requirement for Windows 10. So leave that, click next. Make sure you uncheck run this virtual machine after, otherwise it'll boot straight in, but we have to configure a few things first. Okay, so that'll create the 60 gigabyte file allocation space on your machine. It doesn't use the whole 60 gigabytes, all it does, but it's dynamic, so it's whatever you fill up will eventually fill up to 60 gigabytes if you keep using it. But then you can expand the storage space after that if required, but that's for another tutorial. Okay, so it's creating this 60 gigabyte space. It takes roughly an hour to install Windows 10 on a machine or in a virtual machine. So if you start this video now, leave yourself about an hour. Okay, so first off we want to go into edit the settings, go to memory, and we want to allocate memory up to whatever your system is recommending. Okay, select processors. You can normally not go higher than 8 processors, or which is 2 processors and 4 cores, or 4 cores and one process thread core. Sorry. Okay, so now that's got that. So you want to have about 8 processors running for the application to run inside the virtual machine. Okay, now for your network, you want to select Bridge Replicate. Okay, USB, don't worry about any of that. Display, we want to make sure Accelerate 3D Graphics is ticked for the first run, so that we can change it to full screen mode if the guest tools don't work. Okay, so now we want to go across to the second tab, the options, and we want to select Shared Enabled. So now we can create a folder and map the network folder drive to your host. Your host is your system, which is, I guess, Windows, whatever you're installing this VMware in, and your guest is the machine that you're installing inside the VMware. Okay, so we create a Windows 10 shared folder that's on your host. Okay, so now that'll be mapped, so now you'll be able to find that and put files in there from Windows host to Windows guest and share files backwards and forwards that way. Okay, so that's got all of that. Okay, so now click Run, power up the machine. This process will take a little while to actually install Windows 10, so like I said, I hope you've got a bit of time spare, roughly about 45 minutes depending on your system. Okay, so let that boot up. It'll take over with the setup utility. Okay, so now that'll pop up Windows. If you don't live in the United States or that's not your language, make sure you select the correct one. Go next and go install. Okay, setup is starting. This will take a little minute. It's starting to read the files on the ISO, and an ISO is a file that's an image of a disk. So somebody has ripped the disk to an image file. Thankfully they exist, which makes people like myself that has no CD-ROM still able to use disk images, so that's handy. Okay, so now we want to create a custom install Windows only, because we're not upgrading, because it's a virtual machine, so it has no initial operating system. So we'll be clicking custom. Now there's that 60 gigabyte file allocation that's put aside for us to install into. Okay, so now let it do its thing. Click next. Getting files ready for installation. This will take a little minute. I'll fast forward a little bit here. So I won't continue to talk through this whole thing, because I think this section takes about 15 to 20 minutes depending on your system, so I'll come back when that's done. Okay, we're ticking down now into 90%. That's nearly complete. this section of the process takes the most time, or yeah, close to the most time, because the next section after this is actually using the files to set up the virtual machine operating system. But this is 93%, so it won't be long, and it'll get through. Then it'll go through and get the installation features, which are like all the services and stuff that Windows requires to run. And then after that, it'll go and get the updates, which are normally security patches. So that'll take a little minute. Then it'll finish up. So I'll just wait for that. If you're not up to this step, just pause the video, because I've cut a little bit out to edit this to keep the video down in size. So just pause this if you need to, if I'm going too fast. Let your VMware setup process catch up. Thought I'd do a tutorial on installing Windows 10 inside a virtual machine. For the next video I'll be doing will be how to bypass Windows 8 and Windows 10 security logon for the purpose of administrators that have or users that have forgotten their password or are trying to hack into another user's account. So either way, mainly it's a administrator feature where administrators can reset passwords, create new accounts and whatnot without knowing the original user's account password. So that'll be in the next tutorial. Okay, VMware might restart a few times throughout this process. Just let it do its thing, it knows what it wants. Most of this setup setup process from now on is automated, so you kind of don't really have to be here for it. Same as if you're installing it into an actual workstation. Okay, now it's applying the files into the folders, creating folder structures and setting permissions and doing a lot of technical things. So this part will take a little while too. Okay, it should be nearly done. We've had a little bit of wait there. I've come back. So there we go, getting devices ready. 1633. Okay, so it's setting up a device class manager where it locates your devices as any Windows machine has. Getting ready. While you're waiting, please subscribe to my video, to my channel, and if you like my content, you'll get notifications if you select the arrow icon, the alarm icon within subscribe. Okay, most of the process from now until complete is automated, so there's no need for me to continue talking through out the rest of this tutorial, except for at the end I'll come back. Okay, should nearly be complete. There we go. So now, going fast, select the express options it's provided. This is where you'll create your user account name and set a password. And if you already have a Microsoft account, you get the option here too. but I've skipped it because I don't remember my login details. So, but if you're up to this section now, you'll see a login thing. That's where you insert your credentials for a Microsoft Live account or Hotmail. Okay, so here we go. Windows is just about ready to start. Getting the security patches. Okay, soon we'll have to enter our username that we desire to have for our machine. So start thinking of a name, or if you have one that you normally use for your machine, or if you want to use your real name to make it yours. Okay, so now select the checkbox, other box, the input box, and start filling that out. with your Microsoft account if you know it. If not, there's a skip button down on the bottom. Okay, I can't remember mine. I'll have a guess at it, but I don't think this is it. No. So we want to skip. If you don't remember it, let's skip. Oh yeah, on the left hand side there's a skip option. Okay, so now just create a username. The text box provided. Make a password if you want to secure the VM. If you don't require a password, just enter one, or if not, it's up to you. If you want to learn how to bypass these security passwords, you might put one on here now, so that you're ready for when the tutorial I release next for the bypassing of Windows 8 and 10 security patch. Excuse me. Now we'll set up all your apps. It's about to complete and finish and run Windows. So you've basically set up Windows 10 inside a virtual machine. It's just finishing off a few more tasks. Just a few more weeks. Okay, let's start. Okay, so Windows booted and everything's configured. Okay, so let's see if we can set the display size to full screen. Make sure you've got the full screen option ticked within VMware at the top. To get out of a VMware box, you hold Control and Alt together and then release. That'll fire the key up event. Okay, I'll just quickly delete these things on the desktop. Not good having a cluttered desktop, as it utilizes resources, keeps things active in memory so that they're able to be used if on demand, whereas things in file structures not on the desktop don't get stored in memory. So just quickly delete them. If you use the same operating system ISO as I've provided in the download link. You might as well delete them as well. Okay, Windows is already activated if you use my ISO. I'll skip one drive. Windows is already activated, as you see. Okay, so we're looking for resolution. So we'll select a display size relevant to your monitor, and if it doesn't work, try a few different of the resource options. Okay, so there is a bug with Windows 10 inside of VMware for full screen. There is a way to get around it, but I'm not too sure exactly the method. If you find out how to do it exactly, feel free to come back and leave a comment in the video to help others and help myself. Okay, so once that reboots into VMware, make sure you unselect the 3D graphics option. So now that it doesn't have to emulate 3D graphics from virtual machine, it'll use the Windows guest graphics processor. Okay, so that didn't display correctly, so password, what did I make the password? Oh yeah. So we'll quickly try a few more resource changes, see if we can't find the right one. If you've already got it set up to your resource requirements, thanks for watching. Hope it helped. Skip all this rubbish. Okay, resolution still isn't right, so we'll go to personalized display options, or you can open control panel and continue to find resolution. That's about the best we're going to find. So, like I said, if you find the way to set up the resolution correctly inside of virtual VMware, please leave a comment. Okay, so now we'll set up the guest tools. So go up to VM and select Install Guest Tools. That'll spin up the CD-ROM, the virtual CD-ROM, sorry, from the ISO, and that will give you a makeshift DVD drive with the files to set up VMware Tools. So auto run's always the best option, or maybe not for this instance. Setup 64. Okay, that'll install the VMware Tools, which gives you display, graphics, sound, all them drivers, network, a whole bunch of other stuff. Okay, as you can see, the display driver's not displaying correctly yet still. So that'll install that. I'll go complete. Select next. That radio button function's not working. So obviously the display is not set up correctly yet. So once that's done, hopefully it stops lagging out. As you can see, it's still lagging. This also could be because you haven't allocated enough process cores within the virtual machine. So if it's still doing this after you've completed this tool setup, you'd go back to the VMware and increase, go into edit settings and increase processes and thread cores, which comes back to Hyper-V multi-threading. If your machine is Intel or anything like that, you'll need Hyper-V. Hyper-V stands for hypervisor, task threading. Okay, so that's complete. That's the end of the tutorial. I hope it helped. Just tweak your resolution. You might eventually get the right size fitting or find the appropriate way to set the resolution, but I haven't been able to find it yet. Leave a comment if you know how. I'm HaKDMoDz, and this concludes setting up Windows 10 in a VMware Workstation. Please rate, like, and subscribe to share my content. Remember, Alt and Control will exit out of the VMware so that you can come back to your host operating system's mouse functionality. Okay, thanks for watching. I'm HaKDMoDz.